Hello there. I'm Scotty. You're not. Welcome back to the King-A-Thon. Today we're talking about Firestarter from 1983, starring Drew Barrymore, David Keith, which I'm going to have to keep remembering. It's not Keith David, it's David Keith. George C. Scott and Martin Sheen in his second appearance in a Stephen King film. Yes. So, little backstory of me. Never seen this. I seen the remake when it came out. It was on Peacock. I was like, I'll watch it. I did a review for it. Barely remember any of it. I looked it up during watching this one. And, well, it sort of sticks to the story. There's some differences, but it tells the story of a man and his daughter on the run from some government agents. And because it's one of those movies where you're on the run from people, you have to make up shit so they keep finding them. And that's why I don't like these kinds of movies, because you have to set up conveniences. And there's two big things in this where it's like there's one scene, they're free. They're pretty much free. And they hitch a ride with Art Carney's character. And then, out of pure convenience, pure luck, they just so happen to drive by the government agents who were changing their tire at the time. Go, oh, look, there they are. And I went, of course they have to find them conveniently. This wouldn't be a movie. But then after they get away from that, they go to this cabin in the middle of the goddamn woods, away from anywhere. There is a small town there. But they're away from everyone. We're going to stay here, and I'm going to mail the letters, and I'm going to tell the press about what's going on. And as soon as they get to that cabin, you immediately think, so what are they going to do now? And if you thought them just so happened to drive by the guys was stupid enough, well, just so happens, by coincidence, that they have a government agent hiding in one of the shops in this small town that they had no idea they were going to go to at all. In any way, shape, or form, we could never predict that they were going to go to that small little town. Yet they have a government agent there because we have to set them up getting captured. And the whole final act of this film is boring because all it is they take them back to the government. This movie is almost 2 hours long. And there is some kind of boring parts to it. But when they're on the run, it's fine. Once you get to the final act, and it's just sort of, we just slows down for the last half hour, 45 minutes. Just slows down. Because so, I should mention, the main character is Andy, played by David Keith. To me, it looks like Jared Padalecki in certain scenes. When his hair's all poofed up to the side. No, I'm like, David Keith. I know David Keith from the movie Bottoms Up, starring Jason Mewes. He looks nothing like he did in that movie. Here, because it's 1983 David Keith, not 2006-7 David Keith. But, she's on the run. And they really mess with you. Like, I've seen the remake, but I don't remember much of it. They really mess with you because they keep hinting that the daughter is responsible for the mom's death. She's like, when I hurt mommy, he's like, shh, shh, shh. And you're supposed to think, oh, she caused mom's death. And then they show flashbacks to him and the mom meeting, and it's Heather Locklear, and what is a glorified cameo in this movie, because she was doing Falcon Crest or something at the time, or whatever she was doing, some other she was doing at the time. Like, but then when they actually show what happened, all she did was set the oven mitts on fire. And she's like, oh, it's okay, mommy's okay. And I'm like, okay. But what happens to the mom when she gets killed is it's the government agents that did it. They were clearly trying to misdirect you. If you haven't read a book or didn't know the story, they were trying to misdirect you to make you feel, to make it seem like she was responsible for the mom's death. And that's what set off this chase with the government agents because she set the place on fire and they had to run. No, they just found them because Andy and the mom were test subjects, the only two surviving test subjects of this place called the Shop, which in the remake was changed to something else. DSI, I think it was called. But here they're the only two survivors, and they had a daughter. So she has telekinesis, can move things. He has the ability to use telepathy. He can force people to do things. Kind of like that episode of Smallville where he shakes someone's hands. Or so you touch someone and you make him do whatever you want. Kind of like that. But they have to nerf him for the purposes of him not being overpowered. So much like 11 in Stranger Things when he uses his powers. First of all, I was like, does it really have to? Because he does this a lot. And then he gets to blow your nose, like 11. Then later in the film, when he's ready, he goes like this, and they take his arms down, so he's not able to do it. I'm like, does he really have to put his hands up to his forehead to use his powers? That is absolutely stupid. That is just to nerf him. Because, like, I know that Professor Xavier does this sometimes, but he doesn't always need to do that. Sometimes he can just... They're saying in this movie to nerf him so he's not OP that he has to do this to get his powers to work. She doesn't. The mom didn't. But he had, I don't know. I do like this scene when they get picked up by Art Carney and they go to the farm. The farm. There's the chickens and everything, and then it comes crashing down because, of course, the plot convenience of them driving right by them. They're able, and that's another thing. Yes, okay, they see them drive by. They somehow know where these people live. I seriously doubt they got the license plate on that truck. They just know where the house is because they have to find them. You have the showdown where this was one of the big set pieces. This feels like it should be the climax. She's setting everything on fire, blowing up cars, setting people on fire. This should be the climax. We're barely halfway through this movie. And then when you get to this cabin, okay, this is going to be the site of the climax, the cabin. No, because you get George C. Scott's character, Rainbird. He's got this trank dart, and you think, okay, this is also made me do this. Because it's shown throughout the film that she's able to sense when someone gets closer. And somehow, for plot's sake, she's not able to detect that Rainbird is in the tree watching them. Though she could tell them driving up the driveway, she can't tell there's a guy ready to shoot them from a tree. Because they have to get captured. I'm like, oh, she's going to figure it out and they're going to run. Nope. They both get captured. And that's when the movie slows the fuck down. And now they're both captured. And now it's lies and subterfuges. Rainbird pretends to be another inmate named John. In the remake, they actually made him another inmate where he was a pawn for Hollister, who in that version was a black woman. Super woke, that version. Here it's Martin Sheen. Also, I think in that version, Rainbird was Native American, which fits the name more, I guess. Maybe he was supposed to be Native American in the book and they wanted George C. Scott's presence. They paid an extra $1 million for him to be in the movie. So, yeah, they got an extra $1 million of the budget from Universal so that George C. Scott could be in the movie. Yeah, originally Richard Dreyfuss was supposed to play Andy, but that dropped out. John Carpenter was supposed to direct the movie, but then The Thing bombed. Yes, every time I say that, I can't believe it because The Thing is one of the greatest horror movies ever made, and yet back in the day, it bombed. There's a bunch of them that you wouldn't think of. Wizard of Oz and Willy Wonka both bombed. I never loved classics. Sorry, I'm burping up my lunch here. And much like, I remember how the remake went. Once they get to, I'm like, oh, I remember now. In the remake, I did look it up too. I'm like, remember, doesn't the dad die in the remake? He does, but it's more of a sacrifice in that one. Where here, he just gets shot by Rainbird. and then she takes revenge and doesn't kill Rainbird. He's supposed to be dead, but apparently the character comes back by Malcolm McDowell in the sequel miniseries Firestarter Rekindled with Marguerite Moreau from the Mighty Ducks. Don't know if I ever check that out. Don't really need to. It's less than 3 hours, but I still don't think I should. I can find it streaming somewhere. I've seen it before. Anyway, so the dad dies here, but in a remake, he sacrifices himself to take out Hollister as well, and she sets them both on fire. It's a sacrifice, but I don't think here it's at least out of their hands. Where in the remake, it's like, why couldn't he just run off and she set him on fire and then both run off together? Why did he have to die in that version? Or this version, it's out of their hands. He gets shot and that triggers her to finish off the rest of these guys and end it. Where here, in the remake, he's like, it's okay. It's okay if I die, as long as you take the rest of those people down too. So he gets set on fire. She sets the whole place on fire in the remake, and we're just like, she's like, yeah, but did the dad really need to die in the new version? And in the new version, she ends up with Rainbird, who I said in that version was just a pawn. And the way they're setting up his characters here is he wants to use her for something until he can't use her anymore and then kill her. Wherein, I feel like in this version with the lie and the subterfuge, maybe him pretending to be a friend changes his heart and he changes his mind. Because in this version, she just runs off. I think she steals a truck or something. She ends up going back to the farm with Art Carney's character and his wife and staying there. I don't know what happens afterwards, but it's just like, I don't know. Maybe it feels like Rainbird should have end up being a good guy here because he keeps saying he wanted her, and maybe what he says to Hollister is a lie because he actually wants to protect her and he's grown fond of her, pretending to be another inmate or something. But I don't know. If you're wondering why he wears an eye patch, it's not just a lie and subterfuge. Apparently, all this stuff, he got an eye infection, so that's why he wears the eye patch in those scenes. But it works as a disguise as well. Because I saw a picture of him with the eye patch, and then when he shows up in the movie, I'm like, I thought he had an eye patch. He also has a kick-ass ponytail in here, too. George C. Scott with a ponytail. I'm beginning to appreciate George C. Scott for his roles. Exorcist 3. Yeah. The Changeling. Both great movies. He's good in this. Notice I didn't say this is a great movie. This was fine. It was fine. Drew Barrymore is acting her ass off in this movie too. She is great. There's also some really good shots here. Like after they're tranked, they take the little girl, then they take him, and then there's just this shot. The camera pans to the lake or whatever, and you see the teddy bear floating in the lake. Like that's the only thing left from this carnage. Yeah, like I said, the whole thing on the farm and everything. Yeah. And even though he was shot, Art Carney still wants to help them. Where the wife said, okay, just go and get out of here. And they take her in afterwards anyway, so. Yeah. I don't know. I know there's a lot of commentary on King's endings. And then watching a lot of King's movies, I can nitpick little things about his endings all the time. You know? And, if the ending in the book is anything like both of these, I don't, especially in the remake version, the dad didn't need to die. In this version, it was out of their hands, like I said. But in the remake version, I don't think dad needed to die. And in the remake, it takes place in a facility where here the climax is in a barn. For some reason. Because they were going to go right to Friday the 13th Part 3 after this, I guess. Imagine that surprise ending of Part 3 has nothing, or the beginning of Part 3 has nothing to do with the incident from the previous one. They're just cleaning up after this. Oh, that came out before this, so I don't know. But it's fine. I'll give it middle of the road. I think I liked it better than the remake. That's for sure. There were some things about the remake that I could see being a little bit different. Yeah. There was one thing in the beginning. It's so cliche, but this was back when it was sort of new, where they started meeting Res, and then it's like, oh, we're gonna show flashbacks of how the mom and dad met and everything like that. And it's like, okay, because like they start off and they're just on the run, and I was very confused. There's a plot point where he makes the driver believe he has a $500 bill, which doesn't exist, but he somehow believes it's there. I don't even think $500. Okay, for a non-existent bill, it's a $500 bill there. And they go to the airport, and then all they do is steal money from the payphone and then leave. To be fair, she does set a soldier's boots on fire, so maybe that's why they leave. But I can't imagine that's all they were going to be there for, is just to get the change and leave. Maybe she did that changed. I don't know. I do like. This was confusing too. It's funny, but it's like he runs to the bathroom and sticks his feet in the toilet, and somebody goes, "Freeze! Can I unset myself on fire first? Can I put myself out first?" Like, why were they? Because his boots were on fire. It wasn't his fault. You know. Yeah, it's the middle of the road. It's fine. So, what are your thoughts on Firestarter? You can also make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Come back tomorrow, where we're looking at the Dark Tower. Yes, I'm doing it. I'm stepping into that dumpster fire head first. That's not even the right piece of paper. But yeah, so until then, thank you for watching. I'm Sky, and I'll see you in the next one.